How to butcher your own steak? Today we find out with Executive Chef James at House of Dawn Steakhouse. Okay, James, recently it's been a trend for people to buy entire slabs of steak at Costco and just butcher it themselves.
With Costco's portion steak, they literally just cut it. They don't do any trim for you because they want to keep the food cost as low as possible for them to sell it cheaper. When you are buying that piece of beef, they only portion it for you and you are paying about like 15-20% more just because you don't really understand about like you are afraid of buying a whole strip loin back to home and do it by yourself. All the steaks that we can buy from Costco or even I get from the supplier is pretty trim already. It has been taken off from the bone. It's like already pretty well trimmed. The only thing we need to do is like if I'm using for my restaurant, I need to do something like more French trim side. So lots of fat cap I think is not necessary. All the little piece of muscles or the meat chain that attach to the steak, I need to remove it to make sure all the steak cook evenly.
So we can control of how we want to use the meat and we can save money.
Yes, I'm going to show you the way that all my butchering in-house I do for every customer.
So right here we have a strip loin. In our next 2 videos, we're going to be showing them 2 different cuts.
Yes, so strip loin, ribeye, and tenderloin, we call it top tier of steak. So over here, we have a nice piece of strip loin.
So how do we know it's nice? So where did you get this? Is this from Costco?
No, it's from my supplier.
Is the Costco steak gonna look any different from this steak?
Okay, so the shape is going to be the same.
Okay.
But the problem is for the strip loin, like for all the beef, there is a grading system of all the beef. So for Canada, we have Canadian Prime, we have AAA, we have AA, and we have ungraded.
So when we're buying our strip loins, what grade should we buy? Is there a...
Well, it depends on how do you cook it. So do you want nice steak with just salt and pepper? Or
most people do that, right?
Yes. Are you going to make a nice sauce with it? So for me, if you are going to eat your beef with any type of sauce, I prefer you buy under AAA. So buy a AA or ungraded.
It doesn't need to be as good.
Yes. Over here we have a strip loin. So as you can see, this side of the strip loin, it's a nice whole piece of muscle with some fat cap on it. But when you look at this side, it's kind of like weird shape, right?
Well, there's no fat here, right?
Yeah, no, there is fat here. All of them has fat cap.
But it's not if you show the camera over here, it's not like the other side where it has like a...
Yeah, it's like, that's because of this side. The side has a piece of muscle plus a fat cap. This side, it is attached to the ribeye side.
Okay, I see.
This part attached to the ribeye, and this part attached to the sirloin.
Okay.
Which is this, like last 3 pieces will be the same kind of shape. So we normally keep it for over medium. Like if you go into a restaurant, you order a medium steak or medium well steak.
So you'll save different cuts based on what they order?
Yes. If you ask for a rare or medium rare, of course this part, because this part will be very chewy, very hard to chew. But if you order a medium or medium well, I'll get this piece because that's the time that the tendon get cooked a little bit, so the collagen of the tendon get released, so it's kind of sticky to your lips, so it actually tastes better.
All right, let's get started.
So let's flip it around. The first thing we take it off is this part. So over here, there's a meat chain. So I'll grab my knife. So you can see over here, it is like this piece of muscle. It's a piece of muscle, but attached to the main muscle.
There's also a lot of sinew in here.
No,
right?
that's fat.
That's not. That's fat.
Okay. That's fat. So that means at the moment we actually cooking the steak. If I just don't do anything and cut it into steaks. That means at the moment I start cooking the steak. Once the steak get cooked, this little piece of muscle will cook much more faster than the main piece of muscle. That means at the moment this part is medium rare. This part is well done.
Okay.
So in House of Dawn, we take it off.
Okay.
And over here, you can see this side attached to the bone. So there is a steak called porterhouse. Do you know porterhouse?
I think so. Well.
So it's a T-bone shape.
Okay.
And this one, it's like, it will be attached to the bone this way.
Where's the bone?
So the bone is here.
The bone is?
The bone is here. T-bone.
Okay.
So this part attached to the bone, this part attached to the bone. So that's why you can see over here, that's all the part that when they trim off from the bone, it comes from the bone.
It was stuck on the bone.
Yes.
Parts, right.
So we need to take this part off as well.
And why do we need to do that?
Because it affects your experience of having this steak.
But what does that taste like?
This is just concentration of fat
Yes.
that the bone is, right?
Yes.
And we want more consistency in our bite. So
Yes.
we want like random chunks of fat.
Yes.
And we're just removing all the fats on
Yes.
this lean side.
Yes.
How much do we have to take off?
As long as you can see your muscle coming out, like your main part of muscle, like trim, like
And the muscle looks like this white part?
no, like take off all the white part.
Okay, yeah, take off the white part.
Yes.
So we wanted to have like red color beef.
Yes.
That's all we want to see. Okay.
Yes. So over here, I trim all this part, and then I'm going to flip my steak. Normally, no one actually trim this part, but this part for me, it's very hard and chewy.
Okay.
You can have a touch on it. Like squeeze
This
it.
is the really fat part, right?
No, that's the tendon. That's
Oh,
the sinew.
That's the tendon.
Tendon and sinew. So normally, put your knife in. Over here.
And you know how much to trim based on, you trim until you see red.
Yeah.
So what is that going to taste like on the steak when we have this versus don't have this?
If you have this on your steak, you can see from here. It's all sinew. It's all like silver skin, kind of giant thick piece of silver skin. So it's gonna be super chewy. So normally your sinew will be always on this side. When you look at this piece of beef,
It's on the
so-
opposite side of the fat.
of the fat cap.
Okay.
Okay.
So it seems like trimming a steak is quite easy.
Yeah, it's not.
Just getting rid of the sinews and the fats and the muscles that you
Yes.
don't want.
So okay, right now I have a nice trimmed strip loin. And now we are going to portion it.
So that's it. That's pretty much done.
That's pretty much that. That's why you're supposed to buy it and do it at your home by yourself. So now our strip loin is 60 ounce. So I'm going to aim on cut it 60 ounce.
When a restaurant says 16 ounce, is it always accurate? Like, how does it work?
So for example, this piece is 17.7 ounce, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, when I cut it, I know there is a piece of fat cap over here.
Okay.
I don't want this piece of fat cap. I know I'm going to remove it, so I need to cut it a little bit larger. So now, after I remove it, become a proper 16 ounce.
In terms of like, what is the thinnest you would want a strip loin?
Thinnest,
Yeah. What is the minimum?
3 centimeters.
3 centimeters, which
Yes.
is like
1.5
fingers?
Yes, 1.5.
Any thinner than that, it just doesn't hold the juice.
Well, like you won't get a perfect Maillard after you sear it. Like, once the shape goes much more to the other side, that means the shape is larger. Make sure that when you cut your beef, do not saw it. Never saw your beef. So you can see the beef that I'm actually butcher is much more different than the one you see from the grocery store.
Yeah.
You don't have this piece of fat cap.
Fat cap,
It's
yeah.
removed. You don't have that little piece of chain over here. So that means when I actually cook this piece of beef, that means the whole beef is going to cook evenly.
Right.
So for this one, we don't need to take it off because I just need to remove this part. So you get a nice evenly one.
Right. So when it's too much over, you would rather cut some extra off to use for something else and
Yes.
just give them 16 ounce? You
No,
don't want to give them too much?
no, because that's the thing is this part, when you look at it here,
It's
why
too
it's too
small.
thin, it's too
Yeah.
small. So
Cook too
this
fast.
part gonna cook too fast. That's why I trim it off, and that's the reason why when I cut it, I can cut it smaller, but I decide not because I
Right.
want to. That's the thing is at the moment I cut it, I know I'm taking this part off already. Okay, so now I got all my steak over here, and this one is about 10 ounce. So I can trim because I have an 8 ounce steak in the restaurant. I can trim the excess part and make it to like 7 ounce.
Okay. There we go.
So now you got our steaks.
Let's show the camera. So the strip loin is the easiest cut, right?
Yep. The sirloin from the top tier muscle is the most easy one to cut.
So that's how you butcher your own strip loins. If you want to see how to butcher the tenderloin and ribeyes as well, then make sure to watch our next videos. And like always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and watch this video.